Hello, I'm Steve with Silbar Homes Real Estate in Spokane, Washington. Welcome to Ask a Realtor. I'm a full-time realtor, and of course, helping people selling, investing, and buying homes is my focus every day. But there's so much more to life than just selling real estate 24/7. So I created this series with the goal of enriching others. I'll introduce you to colleagues who can educate and share their knowledge in real estate-related topics. I'm going to introduce local Spokane business people, as well as interesting characters and their stories. My hope is that you learn something, see things through a new lens, and possibly be entertained along the way. So, let's get started. Today we've got a great guest with us. This is Troy Moody. He is the founder, president of Journey Home Management. Troy is a house investor, also known as a flipper. So we're thrilled to have Troy with us today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate very much the opportunity.
Yeah. Awesome. So how long have you been in business doing what you're doing?
What I'm doing right now as far as flipping, I've been doing it for about 2.5 years. Yeah.
Okay. How'd you get in this business?
That's kind of a long story. I'll make it really short. I've been in construction my whole life. Been a drywaller, and you don't have to be very bright to be a drywaller. I'm living proof. So, but I did that for many years and kept watching the other trades and just loved the design and going through the just the formatting and putting houses together. I just loved what I saw. Finally got the nerve to step out and do it.
Good.
And since I've been in the construction industry a long time, it seemed pretty natural.
Yeah. Well, it's like a lot of people, they don't know exactly what they want to do until you kind of stumble through life and you find the one thing and you find your passion, which you've done.
Which I have done.
Because you definitely want to move away from just drywall 100% of the time to doing this.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah, which is awesome.
Exactly. It's pretty neat to be able to take an old project that somebody else has given up on.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, everybody else, they'll look at a house, they go, oh, the foundation's messed up. Or, oh, that house is crooked.
Yeah.
And it scares and intimidates people.
Right.
And for me, I just go, this is challenge time.
That's where the fun is.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. And when I look for properties and projects to bring to you, I look at the same thing.
Right.
You know, it's obviously there has to be a profit there.
Yes.
But what's the challenge?
Right.
You can't just put wallpaper, take wallpaper off, paint walls.
Yeah.
It's got to be more than that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that do that. There's a lot of flippers out there that do that.
Yeah.
You know, they want to put what they call lipstick on a pig.
Yep.
Okay, so they'll take and they'll repaint the walls, and they might throw some new floors in there, and maybe a couple other things, and they go, oh, look what I've done.
Yeah.
And they haven't really done anything. And we can't. I can't do that.
It's not giving the new buyer much value.
No, and that's the whole thing. I mean, if you're just putting a coat of paint on and flooring, all you're doing is hiding what's there.
Yeah.
What we like to do is we will take a place and well, you can see all of this here. We strip it down.
Right.
We take it down and we always do a full electrical. We have licensed electricians that work and do our business for us in conjunction with us.
Right.
And they're just amazing. They do a great job. Same thing with plumbers, and most of everything else, I handle the rest of it in-house.
Right. Excellent.
Yeah.
Very cool. So Troy, I've got a question for you. We run into a lot of people who watch too much TV, HGTV, flip this house, things like that.
Yep.
What's the reality for somebody who is interested in this business but hasn't done it before? Is that reality, or is there a lot more going on?
Steve, there's a lot more going on. There really is. The advantage that the guys have with the HGTV is they can turn the cameras off.
True.
And then they take care of all the problems, and they might. I sit and watch it, and I chuckle a little bit, because they'll say they'll have a problem that almost looks manufactured.
Right.
The reality is every single house you work on has a different situation, has a different problem. There's a different sticking point. One house might have too short of a driveway. One might have no parking. One might be on a busy street. So those are all factors that you take into consideration, when you're going to go and purchase that project, which you and I dealt with that a lot together.
Yeah. It'd be nice to stop the camera.
Yeah.
Stage it all and then turn the camera back on, right?
That's right. Yeah. But the problem is the money still flows.
And it's not reality.
It's not reality.
Yeah,
And it's so many times you'll get into a house like the house that we did over up over Buckeye. We get into the house and all of a sudden we discover, well, no, it isn't just a little bit of floor problem. It's an entire foundation.
Yeah.
So you've got to jack the whole house up and then redo the foundation, put a new rebar, concrete, and new rim joists and set the whole thing back down. And it's a complication that will overwhelm a lot of people.
Yeah.
So there's always those things, and that's the exciting part about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's some of the cool stuff that I learned working with you, is that we'll go in the basement. I think I saw with your brother too once, that we went in the basement and you realized, you knew that the floor was bowed, but then you got downstairs and realized you have to jack the entire house up.
Yes.
Just to balance the thing out.
That's
Not
right.
that we moved forward because it was kind of a crazy deal.
Right.
But it's kind of cool from my standpoint, the things you learn.
Right.
Like this, when you remove the walls, you see, what's behind the wall, where's all the new wiring going and the plumbing and that. So
Right,
there's
exactly.
obviously a lot more that you would think from seeing it on TV. So be
Very
very careful about that, because you can get, pretty deep into it. By the time you make that investment, it may be really tough to get out of it. So
There
you
you
definitely should be very careful about that.
Right.
So are there any characteristics in a house that draw you to the house? One project versus another?
I love the design, like I said before. I love being able to figure out a floor plan that works, where I can actually see a family using it effectively. But that honestly, I love what I really look for is something that I can turn, because I'm out to feed my family. I want a profit. And I figured the best way to have a profit is to do the best job I can.
Right.
So as far as that goes, it's mostly about the numbers for me. I've worked on super old houses. I've worked on houses not so old. So it really matters what you do with what you start out with.
Right.
That's really the issue.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what we'll do also with this video is we'll come back when this house is finished and kind of show you what the end result is going to be, because Troy and I have worked on some houses together, and you'd be amazed to see what it is right now, what the results are. I could show you a house that we did down the street on Grand by Manitoba Park in Spokane that would just blow your mind. What it was before to what it turned out after. So I mean, the work that Troy and his group does is truly phenomenal. So definitely we'll share that with you later. What's the biggest challenge you've run into with property?
As far as the property and the project itself,
Yeah.
I'd have to say the foundation being much worse. You can get into a lot of these houses and you get into the basement and you can see 50, 60, 75% of the basement of the foundations, but then there'll be there's always a section, it seems like, that's just out of sight, and it's always that one that's the problem.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, I can handle this project even if that's bad, and you get into it, you go, oh my, I didn't know it was that bad.
Right.
Just crumbling and falling apart. Yeah. So that's probably the biggest challenge I've ran into.
Yeah, and I've learned that too. When I'll take buyers into a house, and maybe the tenants aren't hoarders, but they've got that tendency.
Yeah.
I've had that situation once, went down in the basement, and the basement was so full, we couldn't get to the back corners.
Wow.
And I raised that as a red flag, and my buyers did too. And actually, I think it's investors that we both know very well, that we went down there and we both said, we can't get to that back corner, don't have any idea what's behind the furnace.
Yeah.
And it was kind of scary, because in a lot of these situations, you may be buying it as is.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's back there. So it's critical to be able to at least put eyes on it and know
Agreed.
what you have going on.
Agreed.
Because the kind of sales when an investor or a flipper buys a house, a lot of times it's pretty much as is. You're not in a situation like a normal buyer who will be able to negotiate repairs with the seller.
Right.
Situation of houses like this, it is what it is. Take it or leave it. So definitely it's...
And that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
That really is part of the fun. I mean, Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Mama says, you never know, the box of chocolates, you don't know what you're getting. And these houses are exactly like that. And like I said, that just makes it a challenge. One of the things too is I would suggest, if anybody else is planning on going down that road, and say, I think I want to try this. Make sure you have one of two things. Make sure you've either got the skill set to be able to handle all of those situations, not just a couple. There's always different circumstances. Or you have contacts and people that you trust, and you know what type of pricing they're going to give, you have those skill sets.
Yeah.
Because that's where people get in trouble. I've seen it a few different times.
Yeah, and that's the one thing too, is that if you want to get into this and you've been watching TV and you see this, and I don't want to badmouth HGTV or anything like that, because obviously people learn a lot of good things, but the trick to investing and flipping and making a profit is to have that crew of people who can do the work for you, like Troy said. Troy can do your drywall. We've got other people who can do plumbing. Other people do electrical. And they all work together. If you have to go out to a local company and pay street value, you're never going to make a profit in this. So you need to understand having that crew together, having your network together of people,
Right.
because that's critical in this business to cut the
Yeah.
profits. So.
Very, very much so. And there's always surprises.
Yeah.
There's always surprises. I didn't tell you about this, but on this particular house here, we got into it and we had the furnace was being vented through the chimney from the basement up through the main floor, all the way through the second floor, out the chimney.
Right.
Well, because of my design, you and I talked about, I want to get rid of that. Well, turns out we decided, okay, we're going to call the heating and air conditioning people. They come in, they can move the venting for me, no problem. What I didn't know was that furnace that we had here, only 80% efficient. They can't fit horizontally unless it's 90% efficient. I had to buy a furnace to put in here.
Okay.
And that's the danger of anybody getting into this type of a game. You always have those hidden things.
Right.
You know, there's an extra $3,000+
Right.
that I just had no clue I was going to run into.
Yeah.
And so you better be very, very careful, because as quickly as you can make $10,000 or $20,000, you could lose $10,000 or $20,000.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In blink of an eye.
Oh boy,
For that
fast.
matter. Yeah.
Really, really fast.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not a game to jump into quickly without a lot of serious consideration.
Right. Definitely have good partners. Have very strong partners,
Yeah.
no matter which way you go, because the partners will look out for you as well. Call out some things maybe that you're blind to because you don't want to see it or you don't know enough to see it.
Right.
You know, definitely you want
Right.
people who are your eyes and yours as well, because, you know, in essence, we're all in it together.
And yeah, and I did that on my first couple of houses. I remember the first house I bought. It was like, hey, do you know such and such? Come in here and walk through this house with me, because I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And and that's trusting the people that you work with.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
and you've got to trust, like you say, all your partners.
Exactly.
You know, because they can steer you right or they can steer you wrong. You know, all good intention, but still.
So it goes back to Forrest Gump again. Stupid as the stupid does, right?
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
I've been waiting to throw that back in there. So.
Oh, there you go. Good. Good. I'm glad you had an opportunity.
So let me ask you this: where do you find your projects?
Oh golly, I do a lot of research myself,
Okay.
and I find a few projects here and there. I bought them off of auctions. Once I started getting into the business, a lot of word of mouth, but a lot of it too, and you already know this, a lot of it is the fact that I've got you out there looking for me.
Right.
You know, and you understand what my parameters are. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I really do, because I know that when you call me up and say, hey Troy, such and such a project is out there.
Yeah.
I know you've already done kind of at least a little bit of research, and you know whether or not it's going to fit my financial parameters of what I'm looking for, dollar for dollar, and work-wise.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of ways to find properties. So to talk about the auction process, because I've actually had, you know, buyers, residential buyers come to me, and they're asking about auctions, and I kind of explained them the challenges with auctions. But I know you bought a few. Tell
Yes.
us a couple instances of what kind of comes along with the auction property.
Well, it comes along with the auction property. One of the things that the very first house that I bought, actually, which is where I met you, because you sold that house for me.
Right.
I bought it off of the auction. It was so bizarre because I didn't expect to get the first bid that I come up with. I bid on this house in a little bit of a rougher neighborhood, and you know that. Put my bid in, and they said, "Oh, you've won the auction," because it's a time thing. And I actually was bidding against another person for a little bit, and I finally bid to a point where he was done.
Right.
And we're doing this online, so I don't know who it is. Great, I've got this project, and it was a while ago. So I think it was $44,000. I'm going, yes, and I was tight on money because I was just starting.
Right.
I'm going, yes, I've got this, and I can do this. All of a sudden, they come back to me and they say, "We'll sell it to you for $48,000." After I've won the auction, right? I won the auction. Not the case. They've got laws and rules set up where that's legal. So they negotiate. They threw a price at me. Well, I thought, well, if they can counter me, I can counter them. But I ended up paying a couple $1,000s more than what my winning auction price was.
Right.
So that's the thing you've got to realize. Just because it says you won it for X amount of dollars doesn't mean that you've won it for X amount of dollars.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of a starting point.
Yeah, and you're also buying it again as is.
Yeah.
So whatever is going on in that house, be it electrical, be it plumbing, be it heating, being people living in the house.
That's where I was going to go just now. You said the first couple there. I'm going, well, wait a minute. What about the squatters?
Yeah.
You know, we had in that house there. We've actually had another one of the same thing, where we've got people living in the house.
Right.
So you've got to go up and deal with that person, and you've got to get them out. And when they're going, no, I'm not leaving, you've got to get your attorney involved.
Yeah.
So you've got an extra expense there, and cost and time.
Yeah. Because even though you bought the property and the property legally is yours, they are technically tenants.
Residents.
Residents.
Residents,
As a squatter,
yeah.
and they have rights too,
Yep.
which they should have rights, but it doesn't help when you just bought the property and think
Yeah.
you're ready to move on.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's definitely something you need to think about.
Yep.
Because there are houses being auctioned all the time.
Mhm.
They come up, every month. There's a couple on the courthouse steps being auctioned off, but
Right.
there are things you're buying it, everything.
And to tie into that, we had one house where we bought the house. There was no one living in the house. There was no resident. Okay. And within 3 days, over the weekend, all of a sudden we had a resident. And it took me 30, 45 days to get the people out.
Yeah.
Even though they moved in, I signed on a Friday. I go back and check it on Monday, and lo and behold, I'm a landlord
Yep.
without any money. I don't get paid. I have to pay out money to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So these are all dangers you have to deal with.
Right.
And the reward is definitely worth the risk. One advice, key piece of advice I would give anybody who's want to do this is remember one phrase: you do not make money on the sell. You make money when you buy. Keep that in mind, because that's everything. If you think you're going to make money on the sell and you're going to change something and I'll come out on the backside, if you're gambling like that, well, go to Vegas instead. That's what I think.
Yeah. It's pretty much the same bet.
Yeah.
Different atmosphere, You
Totally different
hope
atmosphere.
you'd have, cocktail service and people waiting on you. And
Yes, that's right. That's the idea.
carpet and walls and lights.
A
but
little bit more enjoyable. Probably.
yeah, little different scenario.
Yep.
So it's random question time.
Okay.
If you were an animal, what animal would be best suited to be an investor or flipper?
Chimpanzee. You've got to have the guts to jump. You've got to have the guts to jump and reach for that limb and believe in yourself and know you can do it.
Right. Excellent.
I like that answer. That was
pretty
You
good.
surprised me with that one. I didn't expect that answer.
I told you it's
Oh,
a
that
random question. I don't share that in advance, so you did
Nice.
well on that.
Nice.
So that's a wrap for Ask an Investor, a House Flipper. I want to thank Troy Moody with Journey Home Management for being our guest today. I'll put Troy's information on the screen in a moment, so if you have any questions, you can reach out to him directly. You can always reach out to me, and I can get to Troy for you as well. But thank you for watching Silbar Homes, and if you have any questions or any needs with buying, selling, or investing, give me a call anytime. Thanks for watching.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.